boys and girls of the flock? I'm back, and today we're going to be talking about one of the new dinos that is highly rated, and rightfully so, the VELONASAUR. This bad gal is just such a good PvP and defense dino. So let's get right in and start with taming. How do you tame you a little prickly pie? Well, there's two main methods. So let's start with method number one, if you have a friend. So the strat is, if you have a friend, both of you just get a couple of metal shields or something, and one friend aggroes it, gets up close into its face, while friend number one is tanking with the shield. Friend number two just simply stands behind it and pelts it with tranks until it goes down. Super easy. Method number two, tanking with a dino. Same strat as method number one, but this time you have no friends, so you're doing it with your beloved little Carno. You're gonna run into Prickly Pie's face, let it swipe away at your little Carno friend, get off your dino, and just stand there and pelt it again. Easy. Now, when it starts to get close to being tranked, it will try running away, but because it's actually fairly slow, it's not going to get away from you, so you'll easily be able to take it down. So now that you have it down, what are you going to feed it? Well, it's actually not too difficult. So you're going to use regular augmented kibble, if that's an option, and it'll take 18 kibble on an official server if you have that. Otherwise, feel free to use mutton or even prime meat. Just be aware that, of course, it'll take longer and taming efficiency will be down. So, you've tamed a prickly prickler. Now what? Well, start by crafting that salad, which is conveniently available at a really low level. This is gonna be fantastic for all those bobs out there. The VELONASAUR has 3 attacks. A left-click little swipe, a right-click burst zone attack that goes and a C button little turret precision mode. DPS is the name of the game with this guy. I couldn't believe it when members of my server were telling me this, but the prickler does insane amounts of damage. Like, it's crazy. We went ahead and tested the damage output with a level 150 perfect tame, and the numbers were pretty impressive. On the surface, you might be tempted to look at it and say, that's kind of man, it's not that great, but I'll get to that. So our VELONASAUR did 36 damage per quill while in turret mode, 81 damage per little swipe attack, which is okay, but it's so slow that it's not a good attack at all. And it does huge damage with the right-click zone attack, dealing 63 damage per quill. Wow. Remember, I said it's all about the DPS, baby. These numbers by themselves may not seem super impressive, but when you factor in damage per second, it gets really impressive. So I analyzed the frame time data, and what I learned was that you're doing approximately 36 damage per 100 milliseconds when you're in turret mode. So what that comes out to is about 360 damage per second. Very nice. Now, it gets even crazier when you max out your melee damage too. Starting with the turret mode again, now with maxed out damage, instead of doing, an okay 36 damage per quill, now we're doing a whopping 100 damage per quill. So that's 100 damage per 100 milliseconds, which comes out to about 1,000 damage per second. So you're really going to be able to shred things with that. Next, I took a look at the right-click zone attack, and check this out. It does 375 damage per quill. I was able to literally shred a level 1000 Bronto in seconds. I couldn't believe it. And that's totally something you can actually have right now on the server, like 100% legit. It only gets better the bigger the dino you're fighting. So the zone attack might not be super effective against something really small with a small hitbox, but if you can stand right under a Bronto, a Giga, a Titan, whatever, and you just hold right mouse button, you're gonna shred it. Now, that's not all either. The VELONASAUR is also a fairly decent mount for getting around. Its sprint speed isn't super impressive, but it uses almost no stamina, making this guy an excellent long-distance runner. And this can be improved by simply dropping some points into movement speed. Also, let's not forget that you can jump too. So while kind of slow in the beginning, the VELONASAUR is pretty nimble and it's extremely versatile. It's basically a better raptor in every possible way. It's basically better than every other dino in every possible way, practically, sort of, maybe. Speaking of stamina, one final note that you're gonna need to bear in mind, which is, yeah, there is kind of a drawback, I know. It's not all wonderful, but it still is. Because with the VELONASAUR, your turret mode and your zone attack both eat a lot of stamina. And that's why I say it's not all good, but it's still all good. Because guess what? You can just level stamina and that problem goes away, like, fast. It's not even a big deal. But wait, it gets even better. The VELONASAUR also has a turret mode. What's amazing about this is several things. First of all, the VELONASAUR has more total possible damage output than a regular turret, which is amazing. It doesn't need to be powered. Maintenance is really low. You don't need to be constantly farming bullets. You can just slap like a feeding trough somewhere and you're fine. You're set. It's got quite decent range actually on its ranged attacks. I'd say it's roughly equivalent to a regular turret. And again, it's really easy to maintain. I mean, compare this to regular turrets where you need to power them, worry about your power lines, gasoline, bullets, and then compare this to a Plant X, where you have to constantly be feeding them fertilizer and making sure that they're watered, which is just so high maintenance. Oh, and because the level which you can craft the saddle for these guys is so low at just level 26, it's amazing for low-level players who are just getting into the game. The only drawback to this is they can't destroy rockets or explosives, so there is kind of a hard counter to them being in turret mode, which can easily be offset by just having some turrets around your base. No problem. So how about builds? What should you level? Well, I think by now you know what you should level. You're gonna be dumping all of your points into HP, stamina, and melee. Get that maximum damage output. If you're a newer player, you might want to consider more of a versatile build. So consider dropping points into movement speed, stamina, health, and if you have some points left over, going for melee. As an aside, I would strongly recommend you invest some time into breeding these things. Try to get your hands on some enhanced VELONASAURs with enhanced stamina, melee, and health. That way you can just have the ultimate shredding machine ever. So where does this kind of fit in when it comes to PvP? Honestly, where doesn't it fit in? It's just an amazing mount. So let's say you're going on a meat run. In case you don't know what a meat run means, it's just a coy way of saying completely shredding apart an entire enemy's base full of dinos. So let's say you want to just kill all of their dinos in their little cute dino pen. Check it out. Just drop a couple of these guys in their base with like a Quetzal or something and hold right mouse button. You'll literally be able to destroy everything in their dino pen in probably a couple of minutes. And honestly, if your VELONASAUR gets killed, who cares? Because they're so easy to get. Another super useful place for the VELONASAUR is helping with cave runs. One thing you might have noticed with Extinction is that the caves are insanely busy. It's crazy. You get down there and you just get rushed by like 100 things. It's weird. But what you can do is, again, you have your right-click zone attack, which kills literally everything, and this guy should have no problem getting you through the caves. As far as countering this goes, there's just not really a counter. It's so good at everything. You could try freezing it with maybe a Managaner, but this is tricky and unreliable, and you'll get shot. One thing you could try is remember, the bigger you are, the faster you die with this guy. So on the opposite end of that, the smaller you are, the harder you are to kill. So maybe you can try keeping your distance from him and hitting him with ranged attacks, but you're gonna get shot, so I don't know what to tell you with this. And that about does it for this video. Make sure you subscribe with notifications because you don't want to miss out on additional everything you need to know videos, which will be coming out. We're going for the daily upload thing, so make sure you stick around. Hit that bell, hit that bell, hit that bell. Whether you're new or whether you're old, hit that bell. And I will see you in the next video.